Hashlakachukma, Sahochifua Ihuitana, Chukasha Michachata Saya, Gabrielino Tongva, Oglakot Yagni Mako, Api Sahanchi, Biganatoka Hachimanolili. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's event on behalf of the American Indian Studies Center. My Chickasaw name is Ihuitana. I'm Shannon Speed. I'm the director of the center here. We're hosting this event today. I'm Chickasaw and Choctaw by descent and a citizen of the Chickasaw Nation. And I want to acknowledge the Gabrielino Tongva peoples as the traditional land caretakers of Tovangar, which encompasses much of what is currently called Los Angeles, as well as the South Channel Islands, and upon which UCLA resides. As a land grant institution, we pay our respects to the Honuk Vitam ancestors, Ahikiram elders, and Eohingim, our relatives and relations past, present, and emerging. Thank you for joining us for this special event with honored guest, Duane Koyawena. I will now turn it over to Pamela Peters, our events coordinator, who will introduce our guest. Chukmashki.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you everyone for attending. As Shannon mentioned, my name is Pamela J. Peters. I am the Operations and Event Coordinator of the UCLA American Indian Studies Center. As a Dene woman also living here on Tovangar, otherwise known as Los Angeles, I too would like to pay my respects to the Tongva people. And I feel it's important to acknowledge our tribal relatives' homeland and to learn about the land community we reside on. As for me, I understand that I'm a visitor here as my homeland is the Navajo Nation. Welcome to this afternoon's talk entitled Parallels, the Journey of Sobriety and Art, with the artist talk with Duane Koyawena. This afternoon's talk will start with Duane sharing a presentation about his work. During his presentation, please feel free to ask questions in the chat box, and I will read them after his presentation. If you can, please include your name followed by your question in the chat box, and please be respectful and enjoy this afternoon. I am going to now read and introduce our artist that will be speaking this afternoon. So Duane is a self-taught artist who has been creating art since he was a child. He is Hopi from Second Mesa, Arizona, and Tewa from San Juan, New Mexico. He grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, where he graduated from high school in 1999. He briefly studied liberal arts at a community college before moving to Flagstaff, Arizona in 2002. Duane's art is highly influenced by his father, who was also an artist. When his father lost his life to alcoholism, the devastation loss caused Duane to rethink his own destructive path with alcohol. He went through a dark period where he felt his art was impure. That all changed in 2008 when he began the road of sobriety and reconnected with his Hopi way of life. By embracing traditional teachings and culture, Duane feels that his art is pure again. Drawing paintings inspired from his past, his sobriety, his family, and most important, his Hopi identity, he is better able to use his positive energy to help himself and others live a balance of a happy life. Duane does murals, paintings, drawings, and multiple projects from skateboards to clothing and accessories. His artistic inspiration draws from his traditional Hopi culture and his everyday life. Today, Duane complements his art making with a desire to help others. In his current position working at the Behavioral Health Department at the Flagstaff Medical Center, he's able to give back. Striving to live one day at a time for himself and his daughter, he strives to surround himself with beauty, one pencil or brush stroke at a time. Welcome, Duane.
Hi, thank you. So, yeah, my name is Duane Koyawena. Nikyam Nutfil Utima Yan Hopi Matiwa. Nut Sapalanko Put Nutfil Tawanga. My name is Duane Koyawena. My Hopi name is Utima. I'm from the village of Sapalavi in Second Mesa, Arizona. And I'm also Tewa from Hokiawinga, which is northern New Mexico. And I'm Sun Clan. And like Pamela had mentioned, I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I guess we could jump into the slideshow, Pamela. You can go to the next slide right there. Yeah, so as I was saying, I grew up in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and the reason why I do talk, a lecture called Parallels is I feel that my journey to sobriety is much in parallel with what it takes to become a successful artist is what I came to realize. And starting from, I guess, the bottom of hopelessness, despair, of low self-esteem, not thinking that my artwork was good enough or not thinking that I was worthy of reaching a certain point in my life in sobriety. I felt like everything was very impossible and kind of against me. So, I mean, becoming a positive statistic in sobriety, I mean, I know it's a difficult task for people who are addicted to really bounce out of kind of what I did and really make something of it. And this is all feedback from a lot of people that were with me through the hard times. So I feel that my journey to sobriety is very vital to what I do today as far as artwork. So that's the reason why I do share these parallels with with a lot of students here in the Arizona area, a lot of schools on the hospital or on the Hopi reservation, and other reservations as well. I do workshops. As you mentioned, I have done some skateboard art and working with kids. Recently, we kind of wrapped up an exhibit at the Museum of Northern Arizona called with an exhibit called "The Forces with Our People," and we have a droid, what we call Hopi R2, that I helped create. That has been very popular. Has been in the Forbes magazine. Has been we did a publication over NPR National and also on the CBC in Canada. So a lot of these things that I'm doing today, I do like to share and do try to give hope to the youth and anybody who is struggling or have struggled the way I did. So we could go to the next slide. So in about the year 2000, 2001, I moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And the way I look at it is it was a geographic change for me. And in the sobriety literature, they talked about the geographic change being that, one place is getting really bad. I'm going to move to another place and try to start over, not knowing that, you're bringing yourself and, your mind and your way of thinking with you if you don't change in that first place. So I moved from Albuquerque, New Mexico in about 2000, 2001. And I moved to Flagstaff, Arizona, where I figured I would, continue my life, continue college, and try to shoot for a better life for myself. And the reason why I left Albuquerque is because I was getting in a lot of trouble. And at this point, my artistic ability was very known in high school. A lot of people knew I had talent, but a lot of feedback just went one ear out the other. Like I had said, I didn't think I was worthy or my artwork wasn't going to go anywhere, let alone have a career doing art. So with that being said, I moved to Flagstaff, Arizona. I've never been in trouble with the law. And shortly after I moved in 2001, 2002, I picked up my first DUI. And I racked up 3 DUIs within 5 years. And then the fourth one was after. And I really suffered financially. I suffered with family, a very selfish disease for myself, not seeing a lot of these things. And one thing for myself that I never imagined was that my name would be, in the lines of the word DOC or prison. And I mean, taking a trip to Department of Corrections was very shocking. I know a lot of people were, behind me, my family. I had a lot of support, and it's kind of interesting because I mean, a lot of the times I did go to these places, I did do a lot of artwork, and I mean, that was one thing that really kept me busy and occupied. But again, I never really realized that there was going to be a career path or something more for me in the art world. after I completed or got out of these situations. So with that, you know, I didn't have a driver's license for a very long time, which was very tough on me, and probation for a very long time as well. I did carry a lot of self-defeating thoughts, and the way I look at that was I felt like I was in a big pit of thick sand or something that every time I took a step out to try to get out of my hole, something, life would happen, hard times would happen, and I would just slide back down. And the repeat of that going over and over, you know, not being able to get out of this hole that I was in felt very impossible. And, you know, it was very easy for me to get that mindset of giving up. Um, I felt like that. I feel like that in the sense of too of becoming a successful artist for myself. I kind of look at the fact that there is so much talent throughout this world, throughout this country, and my self-defeating thoughts and along those lines was that how is my artwork going to stick out? How am I ever going to make it? And just try to, you know, let alone live off my artwork. And I mean, these were the self-defeating thoughts that I always had. Like I said, I had a very tough case of low self-esteem and no hope. So that's kind of what kept me in this cycle, this vicious cycle of just kept falling back down and kind of just giving up to until I came to a certain point in my life. You can go to the next slide. So I have two pictures here. One of a tornado just tearing up this road, and a piece that I'm working on. And the name of this slide is, you know, is overwhelming. And the reason why I have these two images is because at this point in my life, when I was suffering and going through a hard time, I was just, you know, running through my family's lives. Like I said, it was very selfish and just kind of just destroying relationships and opportunities that I had, employments, and you know, I didn't really care and never really took care of the aftermath and just kind of just stormed through, and which led to my life, you know, really being difficult. And I believe this is a hard mindset of people who do encounter tough times or addiction. You know, you get so far into this hole that it's, again, like I said, it's very impossible to get out of. The piece that I have related to being overwhelming is this piece right here. I started. I, I, I want to say I started back 6 years ago, and it took me that long to complete this piece, and it was very overwhelming because I've never done a piece on this scale with so much detail. There was different perspectives of the pitchiness that I painted that I've never painted before, different positions, a lot of body perspective. And, you know, at a certain point, I thought I was never going to finish this piece. It was too much for me. And the reason why I think I dragged it out for about 6 years. You know, at this point in my life, you know, again, I felt it was impossible to really rebound and recover and make my life good again. Along the same lines with you know, big paintings that I have. I was living in a very negative state of mind, and like I said, a lot of low self-esteem, feeling inadequate and not worthy of being successful or trying to even tap into that, you know, good life that, you know, in Hopi ways we really strive to live. You can go to the next slide. So in this part, you know, I did eventually get to the point where, you know, a lot of family were really talking to me. I've had a lot of interventions, and my sister was, my older sister was very supportive and trying to get me to realize a lot of things. And upon this change, you know, I fought everything. I thought I knew it all. I thought nobody was going to change me or I was going to hear something new. And that was just a big part of me just wanting to fight everything that came at me. You know, I always rolled my eyes of saying, yes, I know. How many times have I heard this? I could probably teach these groups all these things that I encountered. And it got me to the point where in 2008 when I did sober up that I realized that I needed to surrender and give up and just start listening and taking advice. I did go to the rehab facility in the Salvation Army in Tucson, and I have AA, is one tool and a lot of ways that help me really change my way of thinking and slash tools right there. I have the pictures of me painting these pieces that I've done in the past, and the reason why I really relate to my journey and with the tools that I've gathered for myself in life. I can't paint these pictures. I can't paint depth. I can't paint these details if I don't have the right tools. If I don't have myself, the right canvases or what I need to do to coat these canvases. The mindset, let alone the patience and the time to work on these paintings. So I think it really relates a lot to the tools you have. In order to paint a pretty picture, a beautiful piece, you have to have the right tools. I can't have a brush that's frayed out or damaged or just kind of sitting around. I need to have the right tools and that right communication for myself. So and the way I look at it, one day at a time, in sobriety, here at coming up on 13 years of sobriety, it was just that. It was one day at a time. I couldn't snap my fingers and be sober in 5 years. I had to take those days one at a time. And I feel the same way with in order to create good pieces. Sometimes they take me, like I said, 6 years, or sometimes they take me 3 months. I do put a lot of time and energy into it, and I really want things to look as real as possible or as much depth as I can grab. And my skill level, recognizing that for myself really evolved, and it was just one painting at a time. And I really feel for me, what's very important as I do paint and do projects for myself today is to remember the beginning and when I first started out, the past times, because I feel like when I do look at these paintings or anything that I've done in the past and look at where my skill level is at today, it gives me a huge amount of gratitude and helps me see that measurement of how much my paintings and whatnot have progressed. So yeah, so I believe that it's one day at a time and one painting at a time for myself. You can go to the next slide. So here is a huge part of me. I'm a big Bruce Lee fan, and I do like to see how I can relate to a lot of his quotes and his philosophy in life. And this one is probably one of my favorites. Off to the left, he says, "Knowing is not enough, we must apply. Willing is not enough, we must do." And just like I was saying, I felt like a know-it-all. I felt like I knew what I needed to do, and in sobriety, but yet I wasn't applying myself. And I feel the same way with art and with my art world. I know that I'm able to have the skill and whatnot, and I know where my talent is at. But I mean, in order to apply myself and really push it and put it out there and do shows or try to connect with other people or get out and try to do workshops, I feel like what I have or what I possess doesn't really amount up to really much for myself. So they say too that in order to keep what you have in sobriety, you have to give it away. And I feel the same way with my artwork and being able to share like what I'm doing today or with other groups. I feel like that's a big way for me to really kind of keep what I possess. And off to the right, I just have a quote for myself that I share with a lot of people. And I mean, it's really common, and the more you practice your art, the better you're gonna get. And it's very easy for me to remind myself that in order for me to get better, I just got to just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And, I'll be able to capture feathers the way I really want to. Or sometimes, I paint a lot of Hopi sons, which we call Tewa, which is my clan. And the feathers go all the way around this diameter, this circle. And sometimes the monotony can really get me. And I mean, taking the patience and the time and just working and practicing and going, you know, my style will get a little better and better as I keep going. So these are some things that I really keep in myself when I do what I do today. So you can go to the next one. So like in sobriety, building foundations, um, building that support is very important. And along with art in the art world, I feel it's very like it's very parallel. It's very similar. So a lot of the situations that I encountered were very difficult. You know, I didn't think I would be able to do it on my own. And you know, again, like going back to the surrender, it came to the point where I had to really figure out a way to accept help for myself, accept help in painting and art work, you know, getting feedback, getting criticism in order to make my life better. Hearing what I need to hear is not always, you know, the easiest thing. I think for anybody sometimes when it comes to criticism or just trying to hold you accountable. So I mean, that's what I needed, and that's what I had. I have my family here on the top picture, along with me and some of my nephews and nieces. And then on the bottom left is my daughter. She is 11 years old, very big support. And off to the right is a group of artist friends that I worked on in an exhibit. It was a skateboard exhibit, and you know, all of us friends kind of came together, and you know, we do hold each other accountable and support each other in our artwork a lot. One thing for myself, I really had to recognize was my ego and my pride, and I felt like that's what really kept me from closing the door to anything to come in as far as support and help. Um, a lot of people do tell me today, you know, when I do artwork and how big everything has gotten is to not let that ego get to you or let your head get bigger than, you know, where you can't walk out a door. And I really hold that dear. I have a lot of cousins that which we call our brothers, my older brothers. In Hopi, you know, they say, you know, keep doing Hopi culture, keep living the Hopi culture, the Hopi life, because it's going to ground you. And what we do in our culture is, you know, a lot of discipline, a lot of structure, and a lot of hard work and dedication. So I mean, I feel I can really visualize how when I keep continuing to do and contributing in my Hopi culture, that's going to really keep me grounded as well. So I have a lot of that support in friends and family, um, and just using a lot of them to help me. A lot of them to reassure me throughout times when I need it. And when I do doubt myself, there's times where I feel like my artwork isn't really going anywhere, and I start to get these negative thoughts in my head. I feel that it's very important to have artists, fellow artists that will, you know, maintain and really um, communicate with you to reassure you that things are better. Over here is my culture, and this is very important. This is what I feel has really brought me back to you know, being grounded, like I was saying. Um, gain a desire to learn the Hopi culture. So in the beginning, when I first started doing artwork, I had no desire. When I lived in Albuquerque, I had no desire of learning my Hopi culture. Um, I thought it was again overwhelming, too much for me to start realizing. But what really sparked that whole idea was, you know, everything that I started painting. As I started painting, I really wanted to learn what I was painting. I wanted to know why certain things had certain marks or why certain things were certain colors, and it, you know, started sparking that desire to learn. So in Hopi way, we lean on a lot of our uncles, our tahas, a lot of our godparents or anybody older than us. that has that knowledge and being able to ask them. That's another thing that my artwork has really presented is having the ability to speak up and ask, what's what, because in our culture, when we do things, it's not always just told to you right off the bat. It's a lot of observation and watching, and then gaining up, building up the guts, or what it takes to ask and start learning. A good example of that was when I started planting my cornfield, like on the bottom right there, I'm pulling some weeds on my cornfield. My uncle, my dad's brother, was very excited when I asked him where I could plant. And it's almost like they wait for you to ask these questions. So along with my artwork, I started asking, certain people about certain stuff, and it all came. And so now, I mean, I feel like I'm very educated, and when I paint something, I can really express and help you understand what it's about, because there is a lot of significance, and also learning the boundaries of what I can share and can't share was very vital, because I do encounter a lot of young Hopi artists that are painting things that I was told that we shouldn't be painting because it belongs to a certain society or something, and there are boundaries that we need to recognize. So I'm able to share a lot of that perspective with people now today, and kind of just help people and the younger generation that are doing artwork to inspire them to really learn and understand what it is and hopefully that we're painting. And it's very insightful and amazing too, because I mean, I think a lot of humility is very important, because there's even younger guys that are really more intact into the Hopi ways, that know a lot more than I do. So I mean, sometimes it takes me asking the younger guys, what this is, or what their idea of certain things are. So I mean, just painting the sun, the Hopi sun, of what it looks like. I mean, there's a lot more than just being a symbol of a sun. So learning everything about it and what we do and why we pray to the sun and why the sun is so important to Hopi is those. I feel the ways that my paintings and everything has brought me to my culture. Um, and I would say, like I pretty much covered this whole slide, because sharing with people what I've learned. My daughter, I mean, I express and share everything that I hear, that I gain from asking questions about this and that, and so openly willing being able to give it to her. She's 11, and she knows quite a bit of Hopi culture and where she comes from. And being able to have this knowledge and share it with her is very dear to me. Um, I feel like that with also too, like I said, with other younger Hopi artists, to really inspire them and learn to what it is that they're painting, but also, I mean, the culture contributing to Hopi life. There is one thing that really sticks out to me on this note, and I mean, it's my personal image and view of it, but I can't call myself a Hopi artist if I don't contribute to my culture. And what that means is contributing is, Hopi, we're very known for our planting our crops, and doing that whole aspect of when it comes to planting season and what it's for, learning about what it's for, and then also following the Hopi calendar and contributing to all the ceremonies and the dances and doing everything that we do, and always being there for my village. Um, so I mean, I've experienced some people who call themselves Hopi artists that have never really even been out there, and I told myself, for me, I really want it to be an Hopi artist. So if that's the case, I have to know how to speak the language. I have to know how to understand it. I have to be a guy that's planting and always dependable for my village. And, that's kind of what I have in mind as far as how my artwork has really brought me back to my Hopi culture and given me that strong desire to keep learning. So this is a big part. I mean, in Hopi life, we strive for a good life. We strive for a good heart, and being unselfish, being able to give back along with our crops and everything that we do, everything, all the ceremonies we do are not just for Hopi, the reservation of Hopi. A lot of the meaning of Hopi culture is for the world, for everything on this land. So I think maintaining the mindset that I have and the strive that I shoot for, it's very important to keep, practicing and doing what I'm doing to maintain that good life. Um, so for my sobriety, I work at a behavioral health unit. Um, I've been there for almost 10 years, and I work on the front lines, helping people with, that are experiencing psychosis, depression, anxiety, people who are experiencing drugs and alcohol, detox, um, suicidal ideation, those kind of things. And basically, I work on the front lines to try to really help them throughout their stay on our unit to help them be comfortable and see that we're there to be there for them, to care for them. And it's great. I've worked there as a mental health technician and a chemical dependency therapist. I worked with adults and adolescents. So the cool thing about getting this position was I never achieved any type of degree. When I did apply for this job, I applied with my life experience, a lot of what I just shared with you guys, and they were willing to take the chance and bring me on, and it was a perfect fit. So it's been a good experience, even till today. Um, I also work to inspire youth. Like I said, I go to different schools, I go to different reservations and share my story, and display a lot of my artwork, and kind of just share what it takes to really pursue life and get to kind of what you want to be doing. On the top right corner, I was invited to Washington, D.C. to share at the NADCP program. It's a drug court program that they do national what is it, a national kind of like a workshop, and they basically get people who have kind of been through an experience that I have, and be able to share their testimonies. So that was a big experience, and I work to encourage and support other artists, not just Hopi artists. I mean, any artists who are trying to really figure out how they got to how you can make your artistic make yourself have an artistic career. And I've assisted with probation and different other types of programs to help other people. And like I said earlier, I feel like a big important thing to me is both artwork and sobriety, that you can't keep what you have unless you give it away. And if I were to hold on to what I have and not share with anybody how I got to where I am, I mean, I kind of visualize that being very selfish. So I mean, to inspire other artists, it's a very touching thing when people do, comment positive about what I do, the artwork that I've done, the apparel that I put out. I mean, just today I went to go have lunch in Flagstaff, and a gentleman ran into me, and he recognized me and just kind of really gave me a lot of affirmations of the things that I do, and it's just a really good thing. It's always much appreciated to really show a lot of younger groups and kids. So, in closing on a lot of my life journey, my path to sobriety, like becoming an artist, is a process that I feel requires a lot of hard work. I mean, the hard work for me is just being consistent, putting artwork out there, really paying attention to my progression, my attention to details, um, and also, I mean, I think it's very similar in sobriety. Remembering where I came from, remembering my past, and remembering what alcohol and drugs have done, and not really going that route anymore. the perseverance, the mindset of really pushing and really not letting things hold you back. I mean, there are hard times that do present themselves in life, but if you can keep putting one foot in front of the other, I feel like you can work through that. But I mean, with art, I feel like it's the same thing. The more you practice, the better you're gonna get. So, and then just the humility, being able to have a lot of advice, the criticism, the help, no matter what age, and just being able to take that in and really apply yourself. I really feel that that's very important to me. I have two people that I really reflect on when I'm working on art pieces. And my older brother, he's a Sun 4 hip, and when I show him certain pieces that I do in Hopi, he will ask certain questions and ask me why this way or that looks a little off. And sometimes I feel like I'm right on point, but when I hear his feedback, I'm like, oh my gosh, but being able to take that help and those suggestions, I think, and really applying it to how you want your work to look, I mean, I think is a very important thing for me. So and then just whatever I close with is umaloma umalakati yesami, is to for everybody to live their life of greatness, and that it's let them know that it's very possible to achieve the things that you want. Again, like I was very doubtful going through prison, going through 4 DUIs. I never thought that I would be at this level, and speaking for a lot of different agencies and programs is very humbling. So you know, that's what I got on my slides here. But I do have a lot of artwork that I have after the next slide, so I can take questions as we go through them, and kind of share a little bit about certain pieces of mine.
So,
Right.
Duane, do you want to just talk a little bit about the next slides about your images and what inspired you and what they are?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm gonna start on the left side right here, the gloves. So I recently started getting into mountain biking. It's probably been about a year ago. Mountain biking, and one thing for me with mountain biking, my daughter really loves it. She's 11, and it's very hard. It's hard if you've ever mountain biked. It's not an easy thing, and I thought for sure she was going to tame it down and say no way. I know for myself, there's different trails and stuff that are very hard. But a beauty thing about it is that she loves it. She loves it, and we have a connection here, her and I. And when she comes with me, we get to go out, and I mean, smelling the trees out here in Flagstaff, and seeing areas that, I mean, a lot of people don't get to see them if you don't get out much. I mean, sharing the land and everything. I really appreciate the land, the settings, and talking to her when we ride and telling her to look around and acknowledge the beauty of what we're in. Hopefully, we call it Pittsburgh, the land, and I think it's very important. So the gloves, I was very fortunate enough to reach out to this company called Hand Up, a very popular mountain biking company, and they're located in Tennessee. And I just reached out to them, and I mean, I'm pretty, I don't know, I'm very fortunate in this matter, but they responded, and I asked them, hey, do you think we could collaborate on a project? And I told them the idea of where I came from and my Hopi culture and my art, and they wanted to do a Hopi series. So I was able to design a pair of gloves for them, and the neat thing about this is they asked me if there was a program that I wanted to contribute to that was in Hopi. So I asked them if they would be able to contribute to the HEAF program, which is the Hopi Education Endowment Fund, which helps Hopi kids get to college financially. So a good portion of these gloves went to HEAF, and it was an amazing project. And I mean, I work at the hospital, so a lot of people do mountain bike and do things. But I mean, seeing how much these gloves went out with the company was a very neat thing. And I mean, it was we were able to get them to some famous YouTubers that mountain bike. My daughter was super excited that she got a pair to her favorite YouTube mountain biker, and her and I have a pair that we ride with every time we go out. And it was just an amazing project. So big thanks to Hand Up for taking that on with me. And then the middle is the Hopi R2 that I was talking about the Forces with Our People exhibit. The exhibit was curated by Tony Thibodeau at the Museum of Northern Arizona. And the concept was to gather a bunch of Native American artists who were doing spins with their culture and their Native American culture. And so there were different tribes represented in this exhibit, very popular exhibit. And the Hopi R2, that project kind of just dawned on us upon this exhibit, because all the pieces that were in this exhibit were already done. The only piece that was not done was this R2. And the way it came about was they wanted to get a droid for the exhibit. And the cost to get a real droid, what we have here, was pretty pricey. And it wasn't going to be possible. But one of the ladies who worked at the museum, her husband's an engineer. And she asked her husband if he could build an R2. And he researched it and said he could. And the thing about it, I think I have a video on YouTube. If you look up Hopi R2, it has the build process and a little bit behind the scenes about what we talked about during this build. But the build took about 6 months for all the electronics. The droid has like 9 computers, Arduinos, I can't remember how many, but all the servos Joe Mestrani built. And him being a Caucasian, he was like, man, this droid needs to be painted like, in an indigenous way or with design. So he had bought a painting from me previously, and he reached out to me to see if I would be interested in painting this droid. And it's metal and aluminum. And I had no idea on how I was going to paint it. And the way I discovered that I was going to paint him like Hopi pottery was he was carrying the head like a bowl, like a pottery. And that kind of really sparked my idea and the influence. So I really mimicked a lot of the clay of Hopi pottery, a little bit of the blush, which they call like those burn marks when they do fire the pottery. I got a lot of that pink in there, and then just started putting on a lot of Hopi design. And this droid has brought people from all over the world, and it's been an amazing project. And he still resides at the Museum of Northern Arizona. He runs off a PS4 remote that we move him around with. And we have an app on our phones, Joe and I, that can program all his lids to open on his head to spin around, and like he's a real droid. So I hands down, a lot of people ask me what's one of the best projects or the coolest projects that I ever worked on, and I would say it would have to be the Hopi R2 droid. So yeah, he still is at Museum of Northern Arizona, and our plans for him is to or what I want to do is take him around, like when I do lectures at schools and stuff like that, and bring him along with me, because when you see him in person, it's a different thing, very amazing and eye-catching. And the cool thing about this droid too is that the younger generation, of course, is very interested because it's this robot that moves around. But the fascinating thing too is a lot of the older generations that do know the first Star Wars that came out can really also relate to it. So it's like both generations, and I think that's always an amazing concept for people and just in art, and also being arts and science with robotics and stuff. And on the bottom right, I did a collaboration with Canyon Coolers, which is a local company who does compete like with Yeti against Yetis and some of those other like hydro flasks. And Canyon Cooler had asked me to design, I think we did I think we did 3 or 4 bottles, and they are double insulated. They're just like a Yeti. They're just like a hydro flask, and we put Hopi designs on it. And I was just at the company at the warehouse today, and they're showing me a lot of the other places that they're going to be distributing these bottles. But I mean, the collaboration and being able to put my Hopi artwork on that was a very cool concept. Very humbled to really have these opportunities to kind of share, our culture and our kind of like depict our way of life. So, I mean, a lot of support, a lot of people supported the idea, and just being able to share with my family, my friends, and my daughter is always a good thing. So that's Canyon Coolers. This was a pretty fun piece right here. I became friends with Eugene Brave Rock at the Indigenous Comic-Con in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And again, this is one of those ideas of, being able to speak up. And I feel like my artwork and what I do, like I was asking, how I was mentioning in Hopi, you have to be able to speak up and ask for certain things. I feel like with networking in my artwork, I feel like that's very important. And I mean, when I met Eugene Brave Rock, I kind of didn't hold back, and I just kind of put myself out there, and we started communicating, and it built into a friendship. And he's an actor in the movie Wonder Woman, and we had stayed friends, and he had mentioned to me that he was going to be working on Wonder Woman 84, and he was going to be going to Paris to go meet with Gal Gadot. And at the Indigenous Comic-Con, I had did a good row of skateboard decks, and there was the Hulk, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, all these decks, and they all had Hopi pottery designs on them. And he had remembered that, and he had said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing a Wonder Woman board?" And me taking it over to Paris to Gal Gadot. And when he had mentioned that, I was so hands down, I was all for it. And I thought it would be a cool thing to kind of just help with promoting my artwork and taking those steps. And that opportunity came, and I took it. So I created this skateboard, and he took it over to Paris and gave it to her. But the hard thing about it was he gave it to me a year before the movie came out, and he had told me that I couldn't share the picture until the movie came out. So I waited and waited and waited till Wonder Woman 84 finally came out. And when it did come out, we were able to share this picture, and it got a lot of positive feedback. And I mean, again, it shows a lot. I think it really shows a lot to a lot of younger artists who are really trying to learn how to network and get out and seek out these opportunities. I mean, I just feel like that that whole drive and that whole dedication to your artwork, the discipline, everything it takes. I think the more you apply yourself and the perseverance, that these kind of opportunities do present themselves. This, along with the Canyon Coolers, the gloves. I mean, and I still feel that there's still more in set for me. So as long as I keep doing the next right thing. I think the next one is the next slide. And then here's Jason Momoa. Eugene Brave Rock again with the red cap on. He had told me after he got Gal Gadot, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to Canada to go meet Jason Momoa. Do you want to do it?" And I was like, I want to do it. So I started on this deck, made it an Aquaman deck. And, he took it over to Canada, and it's the same thing. So, and it got the same amount of feedback. A lot of people were asking me how I get these opportunities, and I kind of just share what I just shared. Is just you keep doing good for yourselves and doing the right things, and these things will kind of present themselves. So I'm very fortunate to Eugene Brave Rock, his friendship and his interest in my artwork, and it was a lot of me just explaining about my Hopi culture and what my artwork is. And that whole connection and the sincerity. I feel that he really connected, and now we're really good friends, and you know, he's willing to support me in any way. So here are a lot of my shoes. I do a lot of custom shoes, or I did used to do a lot of custom shoes. I would say the shoes were something that really put me on the map. I was in my beginning of my I would say my professional art career, which I say started about 2013 when I started getting really serious, and seeing that I could probably make something out of it. Finally, um, I started doing shoes, and you know, I Googled, I looked at other artists' shoes that were doing hand painted shoes. I ran into Louis Gong, who's up in Washington, and experiencing his eighth generation, and knowing that he did custom shoes. And I mean, and I kind of taking it into myself and saying, oh wow, maybe I can turn these shoes into something Hopi. And that's kind of what I took forth. A lot of people do ask me to do other tribal designs, and it's kind of hard for me because I mean, like I said, with Hopi art, I really like to know the significance. So sometimes when I'm asked to do the other tribes, I'm kind of like, you know, are you sure? I want to make sure that everything's good, or they're giving me the idea of what they want, so that way it's kind of to their understandings, and we can kind of communicate on that level. But majority of the shoes that I've done are a lot of Hopi design. And a lot of it is just a lot of people requesting maybe off their clan ships, or something they like in Hopi, and I kind of just take off from there. But the bottom left, the black Converse, are my daughter's shoes. I think those were the last shoes I did for her. Like I said, I'm Sun Clan, so I have the Hopi Sun on the left side, and then she's Pumpkin Clan, and pumpkin and squash are kind of related. So I did that squash for her, and she loved those shoes. I think she grew out of them, so I think I need to do a new pair for her. But yeah, a lot of I mean, people like the Uggs. I believe the gal was Corn Clan, and she was a female, so she wanted something like very feminine. And you know, this is the idea with the Hopi pottery on top, the designs, and then just having a corn maiden there in the middle to kind of really represent what she wanted. And so I don't know if there's any questions on the custom shoes, or any more that I can really share about. But here are some of the custom decks. I previously was curating a show called Pivot. I kind of stepped out of that. Pivot was a skateboard deck exhibit, basically touching the fact of modern day Native American art, and displaying the evolution. The evolution being that at one point there was a traditional form of art, but we started moving and evolving into something new. And the canvas being very unique, which would be a skateboard, and applying some of these traditions and these cultures on these decks was the main focus. We called it Pivot because I mean, for me, living in Flagstaff in the city, and going back to my home is about an hour and a half drive. And so when certain ceremonies would happen, I would have to go back and forth and travel. So I'm like kind of like pivoting back and forth and going both ways, clocking into the hospital, and then at night I'm going to the kiva and, you know, smoking Hopi tobacco with, you know, my elders, and doing that kind of thing. So it was like two lives, and that's one thing we really wanted to point out to a lot of people, and how modern day, you know, Native American life it is today. Another feature of the exhibit was the fact that, again, I had shared this earlier about you know, really drawing in the younger generation. I mean, they see skateboard art, it's an attraction. And then the educational piece is recognizing all these different tribal artists that are from different tribes, and them displaying what their cultures and traditions are on these decks. So that was kind of the educational piece, but then also showing the older generation. I mean, I remember being in the museum when this exhibit was up, and there was an older older group that had came through the exhibit, and I was kind of just hanging out in the gallery. And I can recall them saying, "Oh, this is a skateboard exhibit. These are for those younger kids." And they ended up going through the exhibit. And by the time they were done with this exhibit, they were just blown away because the artwork that was put on these decks are so beautiful. And there's a lot of descriptions about certain pieces. And I mean, it was like I said, it was the education and the idea of that whole evolution in modern day contemporary native artwork. So yeah, these decks are some of the decks that I've done in the past. Again, utilizing some of them being traditional. The pottery one with the sun, the second one to the left, I collaborated with a well-known Hopi potter, and he gave me those pottery designs, and I put the sun in the middle. But that was probably one of my first decks that I ever sold. I sold it at the Santa Fe Indian Market. I put it in for judging, and it didn't win. But the following day, when we were setting up, there was an older couple, and they were pottery collectors, and they came through and they asked me if I had that deck, and they were looking at it and they were just like, "Wow, it just looks like Hopi pottery," and they ended up taking it from me, and it was a really neat experience. And from that point on, that whole idea and that concept of this modern day work was like, man. So I never I continue to keep painting skateboards today, and they just kind of are very I guess they have that attraction. The one that I want to point out too is the second one to the right. It's a tan one, and that deck is basically imitating what we call a mojiko. Mojiko is a rabbit stick, and the rabbit sticks that we have and that we use to go rabbit hunting are painted in this concept, this way. And those 11 marks that are on there, they look like 11s. Those are strength marks. And I mean, anything that you do with hunting or in Hopi culture, it all we all carry that strength with us. So that's what really signifies this rabbit stick. So yeah, intertwining the Hopi culture and modern day what I try to do with these decks today. Going back to support, I think support's very big in the art world. Support has really gotten me to where I'm at, so I don't really take it upon myself and say it was all me. I say it's a lot of my fans and people that follow me, and these individuals here are very strong supporters. On the far left is Ed Caboti. His father was Michael Caboti, and Ed Caboti is a musician and an artist, very educated in the Pueblo Revolt and just a lot of that history. Does a lot of lectures, and his music is amazing. Good friend of mine. And then on the bottom with the army hat with his hand up is Eugene Brave Rock. They're all wearing my apparel, some of my shirts that I do have on my website. And then in the middle is Superman Christian, very good friend of mine, very big supporter. He's always willing to support and share me good words and those kind of things. And Eugene Brave Rock again on the bottom there with Jason Momoa. They were, and also Cyborg. I can't remember his name, but they were at I think they were in the UK or somewhere in Europe at a Comic-Con when he sent me this picture, Eugene Brave Rock. So I thought that was really neat. And then on the top right is Frank Wan of the Lakota tribe, musician as well, always a big supporter too. I've done him some custom shoes, and just always willing to share my apparel and my artwork as well. So again, I say, and I tell a lot of the people who are really striving is that it's not always just about me. It's not just me that's doing this. It's a lot of people that you're really putting out there. So I mean, I think it's very important to really maintain that positive way of life and kind of display that, because I mean, these people, if they're gonna really take it upon to support you, you really want to make sure that you're doing well in yourself and your life. So again, that really falls on our Hopi way of life to really try to live that good way. So yeah. And a few more pictures of supporters. On the left is Tatanka Means. He's actually wearing this shirt that I'm wearing. Tatanka Means, his father was Russell Means. Tatanka is a comedian and actor, native comedian, very good friend of mine, strong supporter. The bottom of that is Jeremiah Bitsui. He acted on Breaking Bad, lives in Albuquerque where I grew up. We did a show and he came through and he wanted a shirt. So, I mean, big supporter there. To the right of that, with the Mandalorian shirt, that is Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas. That guy, man, he's been a big support, and being able to communicate with him like just a friend is just an amazing thing. So he's helped out with a lot. Above Taboo is Raul Max Trujillo. He played on Apocalypto, and he is just finished up the Mayans MC. But he has one of my Canyon coolers that he took on set that he took a picture of to share with me. So big supporter, good friend of mine. Natasha Hill is the one who got the Uggs. And then Zolzani, community, all these guys, and then Eugene Brave Rock again, just big supporters and willing to share my apparel. So these images here, a lot of people ask me what kind of mediums I do enjoy. I do a lot of acrylics. I have done oils. I don't really do much oils, but watercolors are one of my favorites. And the watercolors, I just feel are an easy medium for me. And also really helps me feel like I have a hard time painting loose. And I do get sucked up in a lot of detail, but with watercolor, I feel like I can kind of free that up a little and kind of break down a little bit of barriers. But being able to control the water and work with it in a detailed way is also a fun experience. I worked with a lot of kids on watercolors and learning how to show them that it's a fun type medium and that they can do it. So watercolors, I did a little bit of series, and I do some here and there, but not too many. So this far left eagle is a golden eagle. That piece is probably like an 18 by 24. The blue one with blue is Angak Kachina. Angak Kachina is a long hair kachina, which is a rain messenger. And then the middle one is a picture of my grandpa that I did, Leslie Koyawena. I never got to meet him, but I heard he was a strong farmer, strong planter. So yeah, I have a few pictures of him, and I just kind of did that portrait. And then on the right, I did a series of these kachinas, different kind of kachinas. And this one here is called a sipikni, is kind of like a protector. Like when something important is coming around, he's kind of like almost like a security guard. But is also came from the Zuni Pueblo to the Hopi as well. So that kachina originally is from Zuni as well. So yeah. And then these are some of my acrylics. I did get inspired by aerosol backgrounds. My buddy Garrett Etzity, fellow artist, good friend. He's an amazing painter, very artistic. He did a collaboration with me on the right, the sun with all the honeycomb designs, the yellow. He did that background, and we did a few other pieces together. But he did the background on these ones, and then I did the main acrylic, which is the Hopi sun. And then on the far left, that one I took it amongst myself to try to use or do what Garrett Etzity had showed me, and try to do one myself. And that was these are all pretty big pieces. And then the bottom one is Balikmana. The one in front with the white face is a water maiden, and she is the one who's very well known in ceremonies when she does come, because her headdress, her kopatsuki, is very big, and they're very beautiful. And the kachina behind it is a male partner. So when they come, it's male, female, male, female. But a lot of people do come to see the female when they do dance and how pretty it is. So I put her up front on that one, and yeah, that was a really fun piece. Took me about 3 months to do that piece, and I want to say it's like a 2 foot by 3 foot piece. A lot of these pieces are right here. So this slide right here, the gray paintings on the far right, and then on the top left, I went through a black and white series, a little phase of mine. A lot of people didn't know me for utilizing a lot of color, and I wanted to experience with just only using 2 colors, and that was a black and white. And so I did a few pieces not too long ago with just black and white, and it was very shocking to see like how much different shades of gray, and how much depth you can get with only 2 colors. And it was kind of challenging, but I had a good time with it. On the far right, we call him Balunga Hoya. He's a little boy, and he usually comes with a lot of animal kachinas, and kind of is like protects him. He's one of the spider grandmothers, which we call Kokyang Soowoti. She's mother to the earth, and this is one of her boys, Balunga Hoya and Pakan Hoya. This is Balunga Hoya, and they're sons to the spider grandmother, and they're protectors of the land. And then on the far left are the long hair kachinas, the Angangtinam, and they are rain messengers. They're also known as Omao Mongwe. Omao Mongwe is what I actually named that piece, and they're cloud chiefs, and very beautiful songs. So probably one of my favorite kachinas. And one story on that whole kachina thing is a lot of people ask me, how do I know what to paint? And I always reply back, usually I paint like I painted when I was like a little kid. I paint what I like. I paint what I really attracted to because of their sounds or their songs or what they do or how they look. You ask a Hopi kid what they like to draw, and it's going to be the same way. I guarantee it. And or it's going to be like something to do with their clan, what clan they are. And I mean, it's the same thing with me today. So a lot of people do ask also too, mention about, that they see a lot of emotion in my painting and stuff like that. And at first I was really closed off to that whole concept. I thought it was just a whole bunch of gibberish, and like all these peaceful ladies are saying they see this energy in it, and I wasn't all about that. But I actually took time to think about that. And when these ladies walked away, I asked myself, I was like, man, is there a lot of energy? And I mean, when I do paint, it's not always necessarily an escape. It's a time for me to ruminate or think about things. And I think about life. I think about my daughter. I think about what I'm experiencing, whether we're having ceremonies or something, and I'm just kind of thinking about all these things. And when I'm thinking about these things, this is what comes out. So I really related to what those ladies had said, and I really took back the whole like disbelief in what they were saying. And today I really hold with me that there's a lot of energy that I feel is in my head and what I possess when I do paint these things. And this is why they come out the way they do. So the 2 turquoise pieces on these walls are at the Nativo Lodge in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's a hotel, and all these rooms were given to artists. I have room 504. So if you ever stay in 504, you'll be able to see the whole room is just decked out with my style of art. And I believe the whole 5th floor is decked out by all these other artists. It's an amazing hotel. It was a big project that I wanted to get on because I saw a few artists doing rooms. And once I got the email, I was like hands down ready to go. And was able to do room 504. So it was a pretty fun project for myself. And is that the last one? Yeah, nice. So
thank you so much for sharing your work. A lot of the questions I was going to ask you pretty much answered them, like the texture and why you selected black and white as opposed to color. I really like it. I get told that it's Kachina, or is it Kachina?
Katsina. Katsina is the real pronunciation.
Okay, but the Americanized is Kachina.
Yes.
Okay, so it is Kachina. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions. If not, I think this pretty much concludes our time. I do want to thank you so much for your time and your presentation. I've learned a lot. I'm a huge fan of your artwork, and I'm always looking forward to see what you have in the near future. But I just want to say in closing, I hope everyone enjoyed these cultural Zoom events offered by the UCLA American Indian Studies Center. And if you wish to help us continue with our work, please consider donating by visiting our webpage at aisc.ucla.edu. And also consider following us on social media at UCLA AISC on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Speaking of which, if you want to plug your social media sites as well before we close.
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at Duane Koyawena Arts. I also have a webpage. It's called DkoyawenaArts.com, and it has a lot of my merchandise for sale. It does have a few of our videos, like I was saying about the R2, and some other videos that we have done available, and a little bit of publications and like newspapers that I have also been involved in. So yeah, you can get a lot of information from my website.
All right. Well, thank you again, Duane Koyawena, for your presentation, the parallels of sobriety, the journey of sobriety and art. And thank you everyone for joining this afternoon. And this will conclude our Zoom event for today. Thank you.
Thank you.